Hello and welcome to this week's West Coast edition of What's New Now, your twice weekly dose of tech news that matters. I'm Brooks Roulette and I wish you knew what I had planned for this weekend. If you haven't checked it out yet, head over to PCMag.com to get a very personal interview with Michael Miller, former PCMag editor-in-chief, and the soon-to-be retired tech giant Bill Gates. They sit down and talk about the future of Microsoft, Gates himself, and the technology of the world. It's definitely worth a read. In a move to return to what Sony is calling glamour and profit, it has recently announced what's coming down the pipeline for Sony consumers. Starting this summer, Sony will bring full downloadable movies to the PlayStation 3 and will offer this summer's Will Smith blockbuster superhero movie Hancock to Bravia LCD TV and PS3 owners before hitting the shelves of your local video store. That's both glamorous and profitable. Sony will also bring new applications to the PS3 which might sound a little familiar. Life on PlayStation is set to debut on PS3's XMB in the near future and will premiere with its news and weather applications. Sony's Kaz Hirai says though, unlike Nintendo's channels, Life on PlayStation will be much more in-depth and higher quality resolution than the Wii can handle. Seems to be Sony's mantra, steal an idea and make it better. Hey, it works. I'm definitely drinking the Sony Kool-Aid on this one. But with Sony and other companies striving to make content downloadable, what effect is that going to have on piracy? I guess we'll have to leave that up to the artists who make the content. Artists like Joss Stone, hopefully. She recently said that piracy is, quote, brilliant, and that most artists have been brainwashed by the industry. She points out that as long as fans are hearing her music and come to see her at live shows, then she doesn't really mind how they get it. I appreciate her honesty, but personally believe it's a Pandora's box situation. Encouraging piracy of music is one thing, but the same rules can't possibly apply to media like films or video games, where the live show is really all you get. How do we control one form of piracy and not the others? That's the question the RIAA has been trying to ask for years, and it just keeps getting worse for them. This week, the RIAA lost another suit to a so-called pirate. Tanya Anderson was sued last year by the RIAA for sharing music files through Kazaa, but the case was dismissed shortly thereafter when RIAA could not provide suitable evidence. Anderson, however, countersued for legal fees and was awarded $108,000 on Wednesday. Ouch, RIAA, that stings. Maybe you should try a different tactic next time. Speaking of something a little different, ICANN, for the first time, has agreed to loosen its grip on the domain names of the world. As early as next spring, you too can have your very own top-level domain name. It's the Great Domain Rush 2.0. Forget .com, .edu, and .gov. Think about all the new possibilities. GreatRed.wine, or NBC.sports, or First.love. And what about .sex? Don't even get me started on that one. Porn on the internet will finally have a home. All this can be yours for a measly $100,000. That's right. ICANN will charge upwards of a whopping $100,000 to register these new top-level domains. Chump change when you consider reaping the benefit of millions of domain names registering under your TDL. Frankly, the number of combinations seems alarming to me. I'm sure when I'm old and gray, I'll look fondly upon the years of those simple six that started it all. Speaking of rules that should have been thought through more thoroughly, California adds itself to the short list of states next week that is banning people from talking on their cell phones while driving. What's wrong with that? What's wrong is that the new law specifically limits the offense to holding the phone up to your ear and talking into it while driving. I mean, who talks on the phone anymore anyway? I'll be the first to admit, I'm a text and go kind of guy and can adapt pretty easily to any situation just to get a text out, driving included. However, I still believe that, if anything, the $20 ticket in the new state law should have outright banned even touching the cell phone while driving, which it doesn't. You can still text, flick through photos, set up a date on your calendar, all while driving, and not get fined. It'll be curious to see, with the trend in tactile mobile phones increasing, whether or not this law will get a revision in the near future. And finally, for your viewing pleasure, our very own PJ Jacobowitz from PC Mag takes a look at the all-new ESPN Universal Remote just in time for the boys of summer.
Hi, PJ Jacobowitz here with PC Magazine, and today we're with the ESPN Universal Remote. Why did we take a look at it? Well, it's ESPN's first universal remote. It controls all of your home audio and video equipment, and you can browse the internet as well as send and receive email. Unfortunately, it doesn't browse the internet very well, and you can only send and receive email from their own Click 365 email address. And one more thing, it's not a very good universal remote either. Let's take a closer look. ESPN's remote, dubbed the Ultimate Remote, has a built-in web browser, but it's WAP only. That means it's only capable of browsing the mobile web. This isn't better than any other entry-level cell phone. The remote also has a built-in email client. However, it only works with the Click 365 email address. It comes free with the remote. But do you really want to lug around another email address one just for your remote, all of the bonus features aside, it's not a very comfortable remote either. It seems to focus more on getting as many buttons as it can on the remote rather than comfort and ergonomics. The Logitech Harmony One is a much more comfortable remote and much more capable. Setup on the Harmony remote is much easier than the ESPN remote. Programming your remotes into the ESPN remote is not difficult, but it's certainly not as easy to do as the Logitech Harmony One. ESPN's universal remote is built on Windows CE. So hypothetically, there's a lot of opportunity for programmers to develop apps for the remote, so we could see the features improve over time. So what do we like about the ESPN universal remote? Well, on startup, it plays the ESPN theme music. Arr, 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 arr. For the full review on the ESPN, the Ultimate Remote, check out PCMag.com. I'm PJ Jacobowitz. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, PJ. And if you want to see more hot new gadgets like that one, head over to gearlog.com, where they always have the freshest new gear. Well, that's it for this week, and just as a reminder, come back on Tuesday for the East Coast edition, where we get the lowdown on everything in tech that you might have missed over the weekend. And be sure to hit us up at WNN@ziffdavis.com with all your comments and questions. Until then, I'm Brooks Roulette, and Majide!